Hello, everybody. I am in, the jungle on an island. I'm here in Bali, which is typically the hipster capital of the world, but there are no hipsters allowed. All gates are closed going in pretty much to Bali at this point. Foreigners can't really come, as far as I can tell. We're not supposed to leave. It's definitely not beneficial. Oh yeah, if you don't know, it's the year's 2020 and the whole world is shut. It's the spring. It's April, and yeah, basically there's a apocalypse and all this stuff. So I'm stuck on an island. Probably best place to be stuck because there's not many people. This is like a restaurant that's typically full and it's totally empty. It's just my wife and I. She's inside. I'm shooting this video outside on my computer because my kids have my phone. I don't have my camera, so whatever. You can deal with this quality. But I'm making this video. This is the first entry of my journey into my own journal. My journey into my journal, and I'm like I made a journal with my business partner. He did all the kind of work to make it kind of internally good, like the journal itself, the contents. I wrote a lot of the preamble, and then he did the actual. He's done so many journals in his life, and I was just like, this is your zone. I'll let you do that. And I haven't gone through the journal. I haven't gone through the process of journaling ever in my life. I know that it's valuable, which is why I helped to co-found this company, but I've never actually journaled. And here's why. I don't know if you can relate, but typically if I have like a journal entry just on like a piece of paper, I'll start to write out my day, but then I'll want to add some details, and then I'm like, that's not enough, and so I'll just expound and expound and expound, and then soon enough it's 7 pages, and 4 hours later I'm like, I can't do this every day. I have 3 kids. So I don't journal because I'm a writer by nature, and I can't just write a paragraph. I end up writing a novel. So this journal is actually very helpful because there's a very limited, window of information that is needed and required of me. Okay, so I'm gonna give it a try, and so in this one I'm gonna start to go through the preamble, and I've written a lot of this myself, and there's some quotes in the front. One is let me see here. One is Tony Robbins. These are, my business partner chose this. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. My business partner loves life coaches and all that stuff. He's a life coach, and I have a deep appreciation. So success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure, and I totally believe that because how many wealthy people externally they have material possessions, but internally they're poor. They have no connection, and it doesn't really matter if you're rich or poor externally. It matters how wealthy you are internally, because you can give. I've tried this experiment with my kids, where I've found that the more toys they have, the less they enjoy all of their toys. And the fewer toys that they have that they really like, they just play with all the time, and they love them so much, and they build a connection because they've invested their time and energy into this thing. But when they have just this multitude of plastics and I don't know, whatever the hell the crap is made out of, they just kind of look at it like it's this pile of junk and it's useless. And I would say that's very true of anybody. How the correlation between external material wealth and internal joy and wholeness, it really depends on the person. So you could be poor and miserable. You could be poor and rich internally. You can also be wealthy externally and poor internally, etc. I think you get that point. That's just the first quote. This is going to take a while. Then there's a picture for you to put of yourself. Maybe you can draw a picture of yourself, but probably post a picture of yourself so that you can see what you look like at the beginning of this journey, because you will look a lot shinier after. And then there's a quote from Jesus: "For what shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his soul?" And I think we've seen that happen a couple times, like pretty much every Disney actor. It's like a child actor that inherits the whole world, and then they become entirely corrupt and just can't even function anymore. And we still worship them. That's the weird thing, is we often, even though you see somebody like, even to me, like Miley Cyrus, she just looks miserable to me. And the process of her losing her soul was really sad to see. That's pretty harsh judgment. I'll probably get knocked for that one, for those Miley Cyrus lovers. But you know what I'm talking about, when somebody just gets lost in the whole thing. It doesn't mean, again, that just because you're rich or famous that you've lost your soul, but it's really hard to keep yourself when you are being elevated to a different status than what humans are normally used to. So there's a welcome. I don't think I'm going to read that. I'm going to go straight to the 4 main categories of this journal, and I'm going to focus on the first one, which is the mind. So in whole goals, in the whole self journal, we go through the how to set goals for your mind, your heart, your spirit, and your body. So this one's the mind. So it says your mind can be your best friend or your biggest enemy. True or true? Although we experience heaven or hell in the heart and the spirit, the visions we cast begin in our minds. This is exactly why we need to become the masters of our minds. A drifting, untamed mind is an accident looking for a place to happen, and it will inevitably take our lives in a direction we would rather not be headed toward. So this part is talking about how do you gain mastery over your thoughts. And a lot of people think that they can't, but I've been doing this a lot lately, especially during this global pandemic. I realized I was starting to feel sick, and then I realized I was being a hypochondriac because I was watching the news and looking at these death updates too much. And I just stopped. I went on a bit of a news fast, and I just meditated. And I was like, I'm not sick. I'm not sick. And then I wasn't sick. The first time that happened to me, I was kind of in this leadership training program, and I felt so sick. Like I was so sick. I had the flu for sure. I was like, listen, I went to my boss and I was like, I can't go out today. There's no way I can do this training today. Just let me rest in bed. And he's like, you're not sick. And I was like, bro, come on. I'm sick. And he's like, you're not sick. He's like, just give me a break, man. Just give me one day off. I had been going really hard. And he's like, you're not sick. Just go have a cold shower and then come back to me and tell me you're sick. And I was like, fine. So I did it begrudgingly. And then about 20 seconds into the shower, which was freezing cold, I was like, oh man, I'm not even sick. I was just totally up in here. So that isn't to say that sickness doesn't exist, but so much of it is controlled by our minds and our thought. So the chemicals of stress flood our brain whilst in fight or flight, and cause us to have small minds. In that state, we become less creative, less inspired, and more negative. So yeah, they've even shown that when you are in a state of fight or flight, you have less circulation going to your brain and to anything that you need, like your digestive system and all this stuff, your immune system, because the blood's going to your extremities, because that's from our old brain, which was like it would help save us from being eaten by lions and stuff. But now we're like, if we're fighting with our boss or with our spouse, we get the same reaction in our bodies that we go into fight or flight. So we're not thinking right. We just panic. And the more that we focus on the potential pain ahead of us, the more that we actually experience it in the present, and we close our mind to all the other potentials around us. Okay. So this journal, I'm going to go back to reading, is designed to help you elevate your state of mind so that you can find what is helping you and what is hurting you and in your mental functioning. So that's so cool, because when you get really good at this game of life, you can notice yourself when you're in the middle of self-destructive behavior. You can see, I'm doing this. And then you just choose to go another direction and you course correct. But usually when we're in a state and there's no shaking us. But when you get good, you can cut yourself off sooner and sooner and sooner until you don't even go into that state, because you can see it coming. You're like, I'm about to get angry. I should do something else. So to have a limber, robust mind is to allow inspiration to flow through you with the least amount of resistance as possible. When we are diligent about maintaining our mental clarity, ideas and inspirations come to us in great waves, and we make wonderful use of them. So I'm going to see how long. This is already getting this is so long. You probably aren't even watching this far. But so many, like, let's say music. A lot of people, they think it's about the external talent. But no, that if you learn the scales and you learn how to tell your fingers what to do, that's only for that's like the foundation. And then it's learning how to get out of the way so inspiration can flow through you. If you've ever been a part of a musical moment, that was divine. It was when something is coming through the musician and everybody knows it because they all like, whoa, and you go along in this ride that is so exhilarating and so powerful. That can happen in comedy. It can happen in any of the arts. That's why arts are so special. That's why people still go to live events, even at great expense, right? Like concerts aren't getting cheaper. But the reason why you can never really bottle that up and experience it to the same degree, like on a DVD or whatever, uh, DVD, I just dated myself, live stream, it's because when you're there, the magic is really happening. And so that can only happen if you get out of the way. If you're just thinking about, oh, I'm too nervous, or you're struggling in some way, then it's really hard for that inspiration to flow through you. So learning how to live in that state, imagine that. Imagine living in a state where inspiration can just bing, 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 bing. So I'm going to end it soon. We all have the potential to reach some level of genius if we can understand that genius is merely two skill sets combined. First, channels. We need to be able to channel access to the limitless inspiration around us at all times. And then conduits, building the skill set necessary to substantiate these ideas in their purest form. So when you get like an idea for a book, that you have the skill set to learn how to write. That makes the inspiration come out in its purest form. If you can just be like, psh. But if you have all this doubt and all that, it dilutes the genius that is trying to flow through you. So a distracted mind has no power, but a focused mind can harness the endless possibilities of the cosmos that it has to offer. Let greatness flow through you by becoming the master of your mind. So this was a long video. I might break it up into two. I don't know if people can handle it. Maybe not. I'll just challenge you. This is going to be one video. That's really exciting. I wrote that. And again, I didn't write that. Or did I? I don't know. I mean, it came out of me, but I wouldn't say that these are ideas. These are like the best ideas that I've ever heard in my life, somehow coming through me through inspiration. And I don't take credit for any of it. Not saying that I'm God or I can summon God, but just to say that inspiration is around us at all times. And when we just stop and focus our minds and focus on the task at hand, it can just flow through us. And that chapter is like, me rereading it is extremely inspiring to me, at least. And I wrote it, which means that it's not just from this old thing, it's from somewhere else. So that's inspiring to me. I hope it's inspiring to you. I will get to the other categories later. This video is already way too long. Adios, amigos and amigas.